I went down underneath the pool. Everything around is abandoned. I climbed inside through the window. A skull of an animal. I went up to the attic. It's so dark, I don't even know where my car is anymore.
While the weather is getting colder, the atmosphere fills with mysterious vibes to explore creepy, weird and abandoned places. They've become useless and forgotten for many, but not for me. They still deserve some form of attention and my visit, which I will take you with me on. My first stop, what used to be an Olympic training school. Children and teenagers were trained here to become the Olympic stars of the Soviet Union. There used to be a pool, gyms, stadium, tracks and many more facilities. All there's left are abandoned seats for the audience, empty pool, loads of Soviet posters and books, skates, skis and other sports equipment that will never going to be used again. Such a great space. I think this used to be a gym. Obviously no equipment left, but look at the wall. It's a painting from all the Olympics dating from 1900 to the one in the US in 1984 in Los Angeles. This is a classroom they had. It reminds me of the old movies of World War II. Children used to be trained here to become the Olympic champions. Let's have a look what it says. I think it's a medical record folder. What else is here? It says sports walking. That's where people were told theory about sports and later were taught to put it into practice. Basketball Federation 1968. Wow. There's posters and everything, really Soviet. It says Moscow. This room is filled with old Soviet skis and ice skates. I went down to the basement, few chairs left here. It says pool on it. Well, you don't say. I didn't know this, but you can go underneath the pool. Trying not to speak too loud cause I watch too many films. Thinking it will collapse because of sound. Obviously it wouldn't, but still. It's kind of scary when you imagine how much weight it holds. Outside, there even used to be an Olympic flame stand where youngsters could have felt like true Olympians. The sport complex was closed just after the fall of the Soviet Union. Many people lost their jobs at the collective farms and moved to bigger cities. Now it's waiting for the nature to do its part. It goes without saying that due to urbanization, smaller towns are losing its populations, and there's basically no one to attend these type of culture houses, so they shut down and become ghosts. That happened to this one as well. It's an old building where various events used to take place in. Can't tell what's on this board. Probably a year, 19 something. Not sure what ATC means or ATS in Russian. There's an abandoned auditorium upstairs and a very dated bar in the basement. It's written cabin on the door. I wonder what this room was. Looks like a canteen of some sort. Here's a plastic cup. And a bar. What are you having, guys? It seems that it hasn't been used for a really long time. It's been boarded up again and again for more than a few times already. I couldn't find any more interesting items and rooms to show you, so I moved on to the next one. It was time to travel a little further away. In fact, it took way longer than I imagined. But the first snow outside my car window and my favorite playlist helped me to get through this 4-hour drive. I arrived at a distant abandoned village. It is surrounded by snow, empty fields, forgotten roads and tree branches and bushes that are taking over the area. The village begins with an abandoned church. I just came here, 400 kilometers up the north, and so much snow already. First time I'm seeing it this season. There's the abandoned church. I traveled this far and imagine if I will not be able to get inside. Look at all these wooden houses around, all abandoned. I can hear some dogs though from far away, so probably at least a few people live here. That's the main entrance, what used to be a gate with fence around. We should come in, shall we? It's so cold. Good thing I dress accordingly. 8 to 10 degrees colder than my hometown. The front door is boarded up, sadly enough. I climbed up through the window. The stairs are gone, unfortunately. Would be nice if I wouldn't fall. That's the entrance hall. And this is the main room where they used to pray. I can see the altar there in the middle. You can tell how old everything is. Very authentic. It was built in the 19th century and rebuilt just a little over 100 years ago. It is a Russian Orthodox church of the Old Believers. There used to be over 500 of them living in the village, so it was well maintained and frequently visited. Found a piece of an old Latvian-Russian newspaper. There are people here looking for love. They state their age, height and what they do for living, and even how much do they earn. That's Tinder from 50 years ago for you. My Russian is really bad though. I jumped out the window and a nail tore my pants. If that's not karma, I don't know what is. Now only 2 families live here. The other houses fell apart or were left behind. Since the dogs were barking from far away, one man even came up to me thinking someone was here to vandalize. He told me most of their neighbors either moved out or passed away 30 or more years ago. Apparently, the house near the wooden church that I went inside to was owned by a priest. I went through the village and found this house. Look, it still has got a TV inside and other furniture. It must have a really interesting story. This is an old treehouse that children built decades ago. It was one of the few entertainments they had back in the day. It was getting dark and I barely found a way back to my car, so I had to continue my journey the next day. I came across a huge territory. There were so many buildings it was hard to count. I'm going through all these ruins and abandoned houses. It actually reminds me of the Chernobyl series or The Walking Dead. Creepy as hell. I came into the sketchy garage and I found an animal's skull on the ground. It could be either of a dog or a baby wolf. After inspecting all of them, it was clear that this was an abandoned poultry farm. The long buildings were stuffed with bird cages, egg pallets, and feathers. A considerable number of buildings were collapsed, but some of them were in a pretty good shape, especially the offices. My guess is that it was all abandoned in 2009, although a part of the area has not been used for way longer. It was extremely interesting to get through all the tools, equipment, and odd items and see how it was years ago in the 90s. I found my way into this quite decent looking building. It differs from the others, appears newer. Look what a cool looking Soviet office I found. There's everything: couch, documents, chairs, keyboards. I just don't get why people trash these places up. I mean, what can you steal here? An old Russian teapot? I'm actually really enjoying this piece of history. It's not that dark yet, so I might be able to visit one more place. I'll see you there. To end my journey, I went to a massive building at the same town. It was hard to tell what it was because most of the rooms were clean and empty. It reminded me of a hotel, sanitarium, or a culture house. I climbed up to the attic, the third floor. Look at these windows, I love them. Aren't they cute? It looks like a witch house. Here as well. I wonder if the pigeons will mind if I film the scales here. Hello?
Huh.
Those Soviet scales, just fascinating. I'm not gonna lie, it's quite cozy in here. One room had hundreds of syrup bottles, while the other VHS tapes, vinyls, Soviet console, headphones, tripods, and other. I found my way down to the basement, where surprisingly I came across a pool and a sauna. I went down to the basement. That's the changing room, the front desk, and oddly enough, an instrument, either a viola or a contrabass. Probably the latter. And here's a quite deep pool, probably around 2.5 to 3 meters deep. Ah, and there's even a sauna back there. Overall, the building was in a good shape, meaning it might be reconstructed in the future and hopefully put back into use. If you liked my video, please consider subscribing to my channel. Considering this is my first video ever, that would help out a lot. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.